Okay, today I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of a few debugging tools that you should be using if you're trying to access or change values while inside a particular scope inside your project. So there are currently two ways you can do this. Notice that I'm using the Chrome debugger in here. I could also be using the WebStorm debugger. But for the first particular thing that I'm going to be showing you guys, the Chrome debugger is a little bit faster and it will provide you with a couple of extra options that you will be able to see. So first of all, notice that I have a colors array that has 5 colors, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I am getting a random number in here. Notice also that the debugger is firing right after the number is assigned, and it's firing again right after the color is assigned. This will be important because I am going to be showing how I'm able to change this number despite it being inside a particular scope, which is going to be the set interval scope and function. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a try. Run. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up the console. Notice that immediately the debugger fires because it hit the debugger option here. And it's also good to know that the debugger will actually only fire once you open up your console. It will not do so just by loading up the page, which I believe is a good thing. So let's go to console now. And let's remember what we had before. So now I am actually inside this particular scope right here. I am inside this. So although I do not have access to num outside, since at this current moment in this console.log, I am running inside the particular scope that does have access to it. So let's just go ahead and console it out. Okay, so it's 0. So let's take a look at what color that is. Okay, there you go. Red. Now let's go ahead and change that color to a different one. And if we do the same thing, color is now green. So let's go ahead and step through to the next part. And again, let's take a look at what that is. I'm going to be assigning the CSS color to this of num. But let's remember that although the original number provided was 0, I have just modified it to 1. And let's see what happened. Alright, so I'm in the second part. And now let's take a look at this. RGB 0128-Z. And if you know that RGB stands for red, green, blue, you'll notice there's 0 red, 0 blue, and 128 green. So although the original value set on the code was pointing to red, because I am inside that scope and I currently can access and change any of those features, the printed out value was actually green and not what was assigned earlier, red. And this becomes incredibly useful if you're trying to debug something and you don't want to have to be going back and forth between the code and the console. And Chrome itself, you can actually just come in here and change those values and see how it changes the data or how it changes the interaction that you're going through. As I said before, you can do the same things while inside WebStorm, but let me point out one last item that you do get in here. And I went to the wrong website, but it stopped here again. So let's go ahead and just skip to the next one. There we go. And now if I just do, notice now that I'm actually getting that full object, and I can move around that object and kind of figure out what kind of features I want to look at. On WebStorm, that is actually not possible. So let's go ahead and get rid of this debugger. And let's put a couple breakpoints right there. And if I go ahead and I debug instead of run this time, notice that now I am inside WebStorm. I'm stopped right here, and let's go ahead and go to the next one. And now if I pull up the WebStorm console itself, which I can do by going to Elements, and I just do console.log num. Notice I can still see those values, but now if I do console.log $, this, and it froze a little bit, so let me try that again. Okay. Notice that it's a bit finicky on that side, and also I don't actually have access to that object itself. It's just a string representation of that object. So I can't actually move around the object and see what's inside it like I could of Chrome. And now let's go back to structure. And the one thing that you can do with watchers on WebStorm is, instead of having to go through those values, you can just add watchers for them in here. And I could just go ahead and now add num. And notice that now these values are being shown for what they are inside the scope. And if I went ahead and just added I'll send this. Notice that now I have that value, and I can actually move around it and see what's inside and what other values I wanted to use. Again, I feel for this particular item, it's a little bit easier to just use a straight Chrome debugger tools, but I do believe that WebStorm watchers are a little bit better. So if you're kind of depending on the watchers, you do still have the console available to you in WebStorm. It's a trade-off that you just are going to have to choose and see which one works better for you. Another way to add watchers I just wanted to show you right now is, let's say I did not have this one right now. Go ahead and remove. I can just highlight the item I'm referring to. Notice that right now, just by highlighting it and hovering over it, it's showing me the value of that item. So that's also very useful. And it's also showing that value over here on the side. And if I just go ahead and select this, I can actually go ahead and do add to watchers. And got added in here, the same thing. Okay. This summarizes the post for the day. Again, if you have any questions, just go ahead and email me at the email below. Thank you. Bye.